And the key call to action for me would actually be, one, are the strategies that you have as a library based on this notion of digital inequality? Do you have in mind that there is lots and millions of people who are nearly invisible in society? And this will bring me in a moment to my next point about reach. So, and do you realize, do you have within the library the capacity or the cultural sensitivity to actually service these people who are most in need, but who are invisible and who might not even know how to articulate the questions and the needs that they have? So this is first some thoughts about digital inequality. And you can imagine from this notion that there's lots of invisible people who are what governments often call hard to reach. My answer is always, they're not hard to reach. You just don't have them in your picture, but that doesn't mean to say that they're hard to reach. You just have to make more effort to reach them. But the notion of reach, I think, is also incredibly important when it comes to libraries. Libraries have such an amazing role for information points. For example, in the Netherlands, they provide the information points for governments on digitalization. They give training of all kinds, also on digitalization. But the question is, are you asking people to come to your library, or will you reach out and go to the places where they are? So yes, libraries are very accessible hubs within communities, but very often not even the threshold to go into a library is even too high for example, migrants. In other words, you should look at your collaborative partners of people who are even closer in the lives of these people. And I believe that the moment that a library reaches out and realizes people don't come to me, but I have to go near the people where their lives are, you become much more relevant for the lives of people. So my call to my questions would be, do you know who these invisible people are? Are you conscious that you might have blind spots? And if so, do you realize what the blind spots are? And do you see yourself as the center hub, or do you see yourself as a springboard towards the people, or the other way around? And finally, this notion of human-centered government. I don't know about your countries, but in the Netherlands, this is a big, big topic at the moment. We've had a number of quite sad, big scale affairs where government was no longer the friend of citizens, where suddenly individual citizens and groups of citizens, sometimes thousands of citizens, were actually the victim in between the bureaucracy of government. And yet government wants to help and wants to be there for its citizens. Take, for example, the 18-year-olds. When young people become 18, they are suddenly asked to do lots of different things in a new capacity. They can vote, they need to have their insurance, they need to do all kinds of things. And the government in the Netherlands, for example, is so keen to help these 18-year-olds. And yet the number of blind spots that they have, thinking that if you create a website, that's enough information for young people, and never thought about actually co-creating the solutions with the young people that they need to serve, their service will never reach them. You can bring them as a library closer to citizens, but again, you need to wonder in this day and age, are 18-year-olds coming to a library to be getting the service that they need in order to do the right administrative work in their lives, so that they don't go into debt, that they don't forget having an insurance, and so on. In other words, how do you organize and how do you help citizens give them the right support in their lives, realizing that there are so many vulnerable people in a society? So in other words, the services that a government develops and provides needs to be, again, human-centered. It shouldn't be from this notion of we have information and we'll roll it out and thinking that is enough. Or is a government feeling responsible and saying, no, I want to make sure that all of our 18-year-olds don't go into debt, that they can make responsible financial choices, that they can actually make the choices that they need to have their lives in order. So libraries, again, for me, can play an important role in almost being the connector between the government and citizens. And in many of these instances, doing this in the right way can truly prevent a lot of problems in the lives of many citizens from taking place.